What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Art of Human podcast, episode 66. So this is a very special podcast because it's a unique podcast and we have like 5 different people on the podcast. This hasn't happened since Talking with Strangers back at the start. I pretty much asked people a question and they responded with their own individual video, and then their video or audio is included within this podcast. Yes, if you're listening to the audio quality is not going to be amazing on this one because it's all from cell phones, including this introduction right now. Or you can watch the video on YouTube. I think that'll be really cool because it's, people sent videos, so it's really cool. And I'm going to start off the first person with my friend Erica, because with her, I actually asked her the question that I pretty much asked everybody. So then it builds context for you guys. So then when other people start talking, you already know what's going on. From my standpoint, real quick, in regard to COVID and how I've passed the adversities, that's the question. For me personally, how I've coped with the adversities of COVID is communicating with you guys on the podcast, having guests on the podcast, communication, so that I don't feel completely alone. And, so I've been talking with a lot of people regarding, on the podcast. I still meet up with people, not large crowds, but usually, I'd see people in terms of like one-on-one, maybe small groups, or I had a job at a restaurant for a little while. So that definitely helped me just to be able to be outside and still see, a small group of people. Or for instance, being at the restaurant, I still got to be socializing with actually a lot of people because the restaurant was like it was like full capacity and shit. That's pretty much it on my part, guys. Communication has super helped me a lot. But let's get into the other people. Let's go to Erica first. All right, so Erica's joining the project. So I don't really have a name for it, but basically I asked like 4 or 5 people. You guys will be seeing this. But I asked people, like, do you have any advice with regard to like how you may have coped with the adversities that COVID might have brought to you? Which I think, COVID has brought adversity to probably just about anybody. What's the way that you got relative with the situation, maybe mindset wise, or even with financials, or Dylan's in the back. That's Erica's brother. Just any advice or anything that you learned during this experience that you would like to share with the world?
I would say that it's new for everybody, so nobody's actually experienced this. Everyone's like kind of on the same learning curve. But I was thinking about it because you sent me the questions over previously. But I would say it was kind of just more of like you hunker down and just kind of go with the flow. I know that everybody has different sets of responsibilities or like things on their mind that completely changed because of it. Like I know I did, everybody did. So that was kind of like you kind of rolling with the punches the best you can. In some aspects it was good because it calmed me in a time when I felt like I actually needed it, where I kind of saw myself getting out of hand in certain aspects of my life, like obviously like partying or like going out too much or like doing things that I felt like I was like stretching myself a little too thin. So something like this happening where the whole world shuts down, there's no need for any FOMO or anything like that because you're literally all home. So you're not going anywhere, you're not doing anything, and it just kind of helps you reprioritize your priorities and things that you find important and what you truly care about in a way where it's like you actually have to face them and not run away from them, because that's the only thing you're stuck with. Like you're in your head no matter what. But I mean, yeah, like I guess I picked up a new hobby that I'm not done with, or I mean, I'm making a blanket. So that's something new. And that was something that I don't think I would have learned from my mom otherwise had I not been at home. You know what I mean? Like having to move back home was rough, and like for many different reasons, kind of like, again, me being in my head, like, oh shit, I'm going back home. That's weird. Not that that's a bad thing or anything, right? But I had to like grow into it. And me being around with my family more, I was like, okay, you learn the things that you should be focusing at the time that needed it. And at that time, that's what I needed. I needed to be around my family, and I needed to, I don't know, just find things that like to do for myself that I wasn't like I was making time for it, but it was also like I finished reading, I think it was like 1 or 2 books that I wanted to read, which was like, wow, I haven't done that in a long time. I started crocheting. I've never done that before. My mom taught me how to do that. That's cool. That's something that I'll be able to like keep working on if I wanted to keep going on that hobby. I don't know, going back to school during this time has been rough. Like, I don't like being on a computer all the time, and that's what I'm doing now, but I don't know, it is what it is. Everyone's doing work and stuff like that. But I think it was just a matter of like giving yourself grace, in the sense that it's like everyone's going through the same thing, but we're all learning to deal with it the best we can. So yeah, I think giving yourself grace, and also in the sense of like not being so hard on yourself, because we can't do anything about the current situation we're all in. You just kind of have to roll with the punches. I hate wearing masks, and I'll be the first to complain about it all the damn time. So that's rough. The mask knee that came along with it, I haven't seen acne on my face like that in a long time, so that was rough. But I'm dealing with it, and it's gotten better. Like, everything eventually is gonna go into a normal, and that's something that I knew would eventually happen, but you don't know it's happening until you've already kind of overcome it. You know what I mean? So it's like, now that I feel that I've gone past that, I can look back at everything and be like, okay, it was hard, but it wasn't terrible, and you learned and you grew from it. So at this point, I'm just kind of like, I've stopped having the same amount of time for those things that I had when I was super stuck at home, you know? Like, I don't crochet as much. Also, like, other things have come up and priorities and stuff like that. So it's just kind of learning to adapt to what I feel needs the most attention at the time. So, for example, for me now, it's back to school is always I've always been the one to put school first, my family second, and work third. Work is kind of like whatever, you know, you do that on the side. It's not necessarily, it's just kind of a job for me right now. It's not my career. That's where school comes in. So once you adapt and you grow and you figure out what your priorities are and you just kind of go with it, you just get into a better state of mind, I guess you could say. And that's kind of where I'm at. You just giving yourself grace and knowing it's going to be okay. We're just going to work through it.
Yeah, tell the camera it's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
All right, now, was that it?
Yeah, I mean, we're good.
All right, let's go to Dylan.
Okay.
What the hell's Dylan at? What's the message for the world?
On what?
What's your message, Dylan?
Just in general, doesn't matter. You can say whatever you want. What's the message for the
what?
world? Just for the world, like for the human race.
For me, it's just having masks on is just difficult in general. I sometimes do go to soccer practice. I like staying in at home because I don't have to wear the masks. I like going to soccer practice as well because it's a good way to have my adrenaline up, and also for some reason they don't use masks whenever they're playing game or playing.
Okay, thank you, Dylan.
You're welcome.
Dylan's like, cut that shit.
Hello, Arts of Human. I am so glad to be talking to you about what it means to be human during the pandemic. So something that I learned, and something that not only did I learn, that I just truly learned to internalize, is that human life is fragile. Thus, we need to find that sweet spot between listening to your gut, doing exactly what you want to do, but still remaining disciplined. Social distancing made interactions with others just so much more different. So there's nothing more beautiful on this earth other than expressing love and feeling love. So, tell people that you love them, because tomorrow is not promised. Tell them to the point in which, it's kind of weird. Like, make it weird. Like, tell them that you love them. Like, send them a DM, call them, FaceTime them. Make them feel loved, and let them know exactly how you feel.
Whew. COVID and like all the adversities that come up with COVID and like the adversities that come with it or whatnot. Honestly, like for me personally, like moving out here, like away from SoCal and not being with friends or like with my homies or whatever has definitely been pretty tough, because I really don't know nobody out here. But I mean, I feel like the way I kind of cope with it was just to just go out and just sort of like make conversation with different people, because I mean, like with SoCal, like it's dope and like that's my home or whatever, but it's just sort of like, you know, so like there's more dope people like all over the world than there are in just like in like a little bubble of like Southern California. So like I just try to like think of that, you know, like there's chill and dope people everywhere. And as far as like dealing with like my mental health, I mean, sometimes I meditate or just listen to music. That's like one of the best meditation tools to me, personally. Just talking to my friends on the phone, like talking to family. You know, I feel like the more you talk to like people that like you care about and that people that care about you, it like helps you get through like that sort of like funk that you're in, especially being in a pandemic. And I feel like the financial burden like with COVID sometimes can play effect in your head. I know it played an effect in my head because, you know, I lost my job because of COVID. So I had to like make adjustments and, you know, like get a new job or have new like money opportunities for myself. And, you know, just definitely save up, because definitely like living like in SoCal with roommates is definitely a lot different than living at home. I pay for a lot less living at home than I would in like my apartment. And I mean, I just think like overall, I feel like there's a lot of shit that you can do to like get yourself like in a better state of mind, especially in a pandemic, and just sort of like just look at the positives, especially with a lot of positives happening like right now, like with the vaccine coming and stuff like that. We're slowly like getting back to the way things are. I wouldn't say it's supposed to be, but like getting back to like some sort of normalcy of life. So I feel like just simply like just stuff that can, you know, help get you through like this definitely like difficult time still, is to just talk to people that you fuck with and that love you and care about you like as much as you can, whether it's like in person or like a via Zoom call or a via phone call. Like communication is definitely key. Just, you know, staying active and not like sitting on your ass and just like not doing shit or whatever. You can exercise or take a walk or whatever. I think that will definitely help you, especially like hitting this with the sunlight, because that can, you know, help make you feel better. And just overall, just if you're ever feeling like you're in a funk, just take a breath and just maybe listen to like your favorite song like on your phone. And you know, I think that's all. Like, I mean, there's a lot of shit that you can do, but that's all I can really think of right now. And you know, peace and love.
Hey there, guys. JD here. So, if there's anything that this pandemic has taught me over the course of time, especially since like, you know, the beginning when the quarantine went down and stuff like that, I would have to say that it has taught me a lot about emotional control, right? Or at least a lot of self-reflection at a certain point. Now, how do those things kind of tie in together? I would have to say that, to put some background into it, COVID has definitely created this effect on all of us, right? During the quarantine, I feel like we have all been shut down from the world. We disconnected from the world for a bit. Now things are picking back up. Things are kind of just like, okay, just wear a mask and you're outside, you're good. Still a little bit of disconnection that's happening. A lot of things aren't being able to happen, like concerts or social interactions. They're not very encouraged, right?
Hi, my name's Melissa. I was asked by Christian to film this video just to talk about how COVID has affected or impacted my life and my family's life. I'm pretty stoked to do this because Christian and I actually grew up together. I consider him to be family, his family to be my family. So I'm grateful that he thought of me and asked me to do this. So here's my story. Back in 2018, my daughter was diagnosed with cancer. So we've been living like a social distancing and isolation lifestyle for the past 3 years. So that, in a sense, hasn't affected us. We've missed out on plenty of holidays, birthdays, family get-togethers, barbecues, just life, because we couldn't be there. This is my daughter who's trying to eat candy, so say hi.
Hi.
Okay. Anyways, what affected us was the panic buyers, actually. It was really, really hard once the world, was affected by COVID, because some of the everyday things that we did use, like the sanitizers or, just the Lysol, like cleaning wipes, all that stuff, the panic buyers came and totally wiped it out. And so that has been really hard for us, because our everyday items were now the world's everyday items. So it's been kind of rough in that sense. We're definitely getting by, but it's, some of this stuff really hasn't even come back yet. So it's just such a crazy time to live in. But that's honestly all I have to offer. Quarantine and isolation and social distancing is really, unfortunately, nothing new to us. It's something we've always done and probably something we'll always do. So yeah, that's my story. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to share it.